You've been told the wrong story about money. Not a small lie, a structural one. The kind that gets passed down at dinner tables, repeated in classrooms, and reinforced every time someone says, you have to work hard to earn it. Hard work is not the enemy, but hard work as the only mechanism. That's the trap. Because here's what no one says out loud. The wealthiest people on earth are not working harder than you. They built systems that work instead of them, while they sleep, while they rest, while they live. And the first $1,000 you earn without trading your time for it, that is not a transaction. That is a psychological shift, a rewiring, a proof of concept for yourself that a different life is structurally possible. Today, we're not talking about hustle. We're talking about architecture, the architecture of income that doesn't need you to be awake. There was once a man, let's call him the cartographer. He spent 15 years sailing, mapping coastlines, charting currents. Every voyage earned him exactly what he traded: his time, his body, his presence. One winter, forced ashore by a storm, he did something different. He sat down and he drew. He took everything he knew, every current, every reef, every safe passage, and he pressed it onto paper. Other sailors began buying the map, then cities, then governments. He made the voyage once, but the map made it 10,000 times. He didn't stop sailing, but now when he slept, the map was still working. When he was ill, the map was still earning. When he was old and couldn't sail, the map kept going. The cartographer had done something radical. He'd separated his knowledge from his labor. He'd taken what lived inside his experience and made it portable. Your first $1,000 while you sleep is your first map. It doesn't require a ship. It doesn't require genius. It requires one thing: the willingness to convert what you already know into something that can travel without you. Let me show you exactly how. Most passive income advice lives at the surface. Start a blog, sell an ebook, build a course. The tactics shift every year. The psychology underneath them does not. There are 3 pillars that govern whether a passive income stream survives or quietly dies. I call them the 3 foundations of what I call your wealth architecture. Cognitive leverage is the practice of packaging what you already understand and letting it earn in your absence. Most people underestimate what they know, severely, because the things you understand intuitively, the things that feel obvious to you, are exactly the things that feel impossible to someone else. The gap between your fluency and their confusion, that gap is your asset. Ask yourself one question: what do people ask me for help with? Not what you have a degree in, not what you believe you're qualified for. What do people, friends, colleagues, strangers online, actually come to you for? That is the raw material. Now the work is packaging. A digital guide, a short course, a templated system, a curated resource library, a newsletter with a paid tier. You are not creating knowledge from nothing. You are translating knowledge you already carry into a format that doesn't need you present to deliver it. This is not about perfection. The cartographer's first map had errors. He updated it. He sold it anyway. The cost of waiting for a perfect product is an income stream that never begins. One imperfect thing that earns is worth more than 10 perfect things still in your head. Here is why most passive income attempts fail. Not because the idea was wrong, because the emotional architecture was wrong. Passive income has a strange, punishing beginning. You build for weeks, you publish something, and for a long time, almost nothing happens. The human brain is wired for immediate feedback. Dopamine is not rewarded by patience, it is rewarded by signal, and early passive income gives you almost no signal at all. So people stop, not because they failed, because their nervous system misread silence as defeat. Dopamine architecture is the practice of deliberately engineering feedback loops into your building process so your brain stays engaged long enough for the income to activate. Here's how it works in practice. You do not measure success by revenue at first. You measure it by proof of motion. First sale? That is not $27. That is evidence that a stranger found your work, decided it had value, and exchanged money for it, without you in the room. That is the psychological milestone, not the dollar amount. Set micro-targets your brain can register as wins. 10 email subscribers, 1 piece of content that reaches 100 people, 1 testimonial, 1 referral. Stack those signals, build the emotional runway, because the income compounds later, but the psychology has to compound first. Design your process so your brain can survive the silence. That is the real work of building wealth while you sleep. There is a psychological principle that governs all markets. It is not quality. It is not even effort. It is perceived rarity. Social scarcity is not manipulation. It is clarity, radical, honest clarity about why what you offer is specifically, genuinely not available anywhere else in quite this form. The internet is crowded. It is almost impossible to be the only person teaching something, but it is entirely possible and deeply underutilized to be the only person teaching it this way, to this person, in this voice, from this lived experience. Your specificity is your scarcity. When you try to speak to everyone, you earn the attention of no one. When you narrow, when you say, this is exactly who this is for and this is exactly what it will do for them, something shifts. People stop scrolling, they lean in, they buy. A first $1,000 in passive income almost never comes from a broad offer. It comes from someone saying, this was made for me. Narrow your offer, define your person, speak their exact language, let your specificity do the work that volume never can. I want to speak to you directly for a moment, not to your ambition, to your doubt, because I know what lives underneath a video like this. I know what you were carrying when you clicked play, the part of you that wants this and the part of you that quietly believes it isn't for you, that the people who make money while they sleep are different, better positioned, less complicated. I want to tell you something true. They started with cracks too. Every person who has ever built a stream of income that runs without them started from a place of uncertainty, of not enough, of a life that was demanding too much in exchange for too little. That pressure you feel, that is not a sign you're behind. That is the exact pressure that makes people build something different. You don't need a platform with 1 million followers. You don't need startup capital. You don't need to have your entire life figured out. You need one clear thing, one piece of your genuine knowledge packaged with honesty, offered to the right small group of people. The first $1,000 is not about the money. I need you to understand that. It is about the moment your brain accepts a new identity, the moment you stop being someone who wants to earn differently and become someone who already does. That shift changes everything: how you make decisions, what you believe is possible, what you're willing to build next. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from everything you've already survived, learned, and quietly mastered. The only thing left is to let it travel. Build your map. 3 pillars, 1 architecture, 1 proof of concept that can change your relationship with income and with yourself. Cognitive leverage, convert what you know into something portable. Dopamine architecture, design a system your psychology can survive. Social scarcity, let your specificity do what volume never can. If this way of thinking resonates with you, if you want to go deeper into the psychology of wealth, of simplicity, of building a life that doesn't trade everything for survival, then subscribe to this channel. Not for the content, for the community of people who are quietly, calmly building something real. I'll see you in the next one.